Hey guys, got a tip for you today to prevent weeding on your syntropic lines. It's a really important tip because in reality having to weed a kilometer of lines is nothing fun. And that's what we planted this year, more than 1.2 kilometers of lines. So the technique we found really to prevent the weeding is to use broadbeans. They are planted 20 centimeters from the main row on either side. What it does here is that it prevents the other grasses below to start coming up. And then rather than having to do weeding, you have to actually prune your broadbeans instead, which is a much easier job, and you get more biomass from that. And also on top of that, you won't be removing grasses by the root, which actually creates a bigger hole for even more annoying weeds to come up. So that's a quite important tool to prevent weeding, which can be one of the biggest pains when your syntropic rows are getting established. And you can see here, this is how it looks right now, our row. You got the almond every 6 meters. Let me zoom out. Here's the other almond, so 6 meters. Then exactly in between we got our eucalyptus here and Grevillea robusta, and we have a grape that is going to be climbing the eucalyptus at first and hopefully after on the Grevillea. The idea of planting them together here is that the eucalyptus will take over and eventually the Grevillea will be the emergent that will take over. We are experimenting with planting them together, but I'm not necessarily expecting it to work because the problem is that maybe the trunk of the eucalyptus will get too big and the Grevillea will just not really have its chance. So if that doesn't work, what we'll do instead is once we will reset the eucalyptus composite, we will replant the Grevillea here beside it. That's kind of the idea. It's not ideal though, because by then we might have the irrigation pulled out, which doesn't ensure that the Grevillea will really be able to thrive in the future. Anyway, other plants are here. We have the acacia here, not doing so well, huh? But I hope that it will reshoot well. It's just quite burnt. If not, we can always replant. But yeah, they will reshoot, I believe. Then we also have the casuarinas in between. The emergents that we have, as I say, are the eucalyptus and the Grevillea. And then we have the casuarina in between the almond and the eucalyptus on either side. Then we have acacia every meter in between. And then we also have the myoporum cutting. Basically in between each of the acacias here, we're gonna find a myoporum cutting that we rooted in the greenhouse, accompanied by a tamarix cutting that you can see here. And as well, what we can see is these aeoniums here. It's this type of like succulent from the Canary Islands that seems to have burnt off somehow, but it's coming back. We've had a multitude of frost, and on top of that rains that really made it difficult for some of the plants. But I trust that they will reshoot. They're very strong plants, so that shouldn't be a problem. So the idea with that is that you plant your broadbeans every 25 centimeters on either side of your row, 20 centimeters from the main line. And by doing that, man, you're gonna find that it's just gonna allow much less weeds to come up, and it's gonna interfere much less with your trees and your main line. That's what I've found. And at the point when they start flowering, you just prune them and they will reshoot usually. And you have 2 prunes with that, which adds a growth pulse to the system, which is exactly what you want. And it really doesn't take long to do that on one line compared to weeding and having to be on your knees taking out and pulling out some grasses. Honestly, the broadbean job is so much easier. Like 1 kilometer of lines, if you have to do weeding on that, that's really not going to be smart. So yeah, just got to find these solutions, these inventive solutions, to make sure that we don't have to deal with this pain in the ass that weeding is. That's basically it. Drop your comments in there if you have any other techniques. I'd be really interested in seeing if you guys have found other techniques to prevent weeding. Definitely adding a 20-30 centimeter pile of straw on either side as mulch definitely helps from the weeds coming up. And the beauty with it is as well that the broad beans still poke through that, so you get the extra protection. So you get first off the straw, and on top of that the broad beans, which really shades out everything, so you don't have that many weeds coming up. But yeah, it doesn't work perfectly. There's still going to be a little bit of weeding, but far less. And that's the idea. Efficiency, that's really important. All right. Looking forward to see the comment section and see what you guys think about this. See you.